This is the Chamber Chat Podcast, the show dedicated to chamber professionals to spark ideas and to get actionable tips and strategies to better serve your members and community. Hello, Chamber Champions. Welcome to Chamber Chat Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Burton, and it's my goal here on the podcast to introduce you to people and ideas to better help you serve your chamber members and your community. Our title sponsor for this episode is Bringing Local Back. Remember when your community could turn to a local TV station or newspaper for the latest updates and affordable ads? Those days may be fading, but the need for local connection remains. That's why we created Bringing Local Back, a game-changing platform that restores local visibility and advertising power to your community. It's more than just tech. It's about driving engagement and creating new revenue for your chamber. Ready to see the future? Visit bringinglocalback.com to schedule your demo today. This is the future of local commerce. Our guest for this episode is Ted Townsend. Ted is the president and CEO of the Greater Memphis Chamber, a position he's held since 2022. He has a wealth of experience in leadership roles across private, public, and nonprofit sectors. Prior to his current role, Ted served as the Chamber's Chief Economic Development Officer, leading the Chamber to its best year for economic development in 2021. He also served as the first ever Chief Economic Development and Government Relations Officer at the University of Memphis and as Deputy Commissioner and COO for the Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development. Ted co-founded and served as COO of Argenesis Pharmaceuticals before his transition to the Chamber. But Ted, I wanted to welcome you to Chamber Chat Podcast and give you a big congratulations to you and your team for being selected as a Chamber of the Year finalist. I'd love to give you an opportunity to say hello to all the Chamber champions that are out there listening, and if you would share something interesting about yourself so we can all get to know you better.
Yeah, happy to. And thank you for the invitation to be on the podcast. The chamber community is one that's close-knit and very strong. And while there is an underlying competitive nature to the economic development aspect of chamber work, we are a community and we all partner together and root each other on. So I'm grateful to have an opportunity to provide some of what is going on in the greater Memphis area. I think for me, number one, I'm a recovering member of the secret order of the cheering Elvi. And being in Memphis, we're home to Elvis Presley. And so I was a member of that group, and we would go to like the St. Jude Children's Research Hospital Marathon and cheer on the runners. And yes, we were in our white polyester jumpsuits and our Elvis glasses. I eventually had to retire from that because, polyester is pretty hot. Yeah. And so that's something interesting, but I think it speaks to the spirit of Memphis and how we always cheer each other on. And the same spirit is brought to the chamber community where I often have a chance to meet with peers and other members that are in chamber organizations. And we always love the collegial spirit that is there. So that is something interesting in terms of my background. I thought very carefully about that. My team was telling me, you may not want to talk about the cheering Elvi, but I think it's fun.
Yeah, no, that's great. I love getting those little tidbits and I will say that's, a big reason why this podcast even exists is sharing that information and to really kind of be that incubator for that R&D research that's happening, that ripping off and duplicating research. So, well, tell us a little bit about the Greater Memphis Chamber to kind of give us a perspective of the size, the scope of work you guys are involved with. Obviously, there's economic development, staff, budget, just to kind of set the stage for our discussion.
Yeah, so our chamber is a regional chamber. Given the geography of Memphis, we are right in the southwest corner of the state of Tennessee, but I look across the Mississippi River literally from this office. And I can see Arkansas, and we're just north of the state line with Mississippi. So we serve our metropolitan statistical area, which is 9 counties and 3 states. So we have to work regionally, and we help champion all of our chamber partners within that footprint. Our organization, we're actually one of the oldest chambers in the United States of America still operating. We're 187 years
Wow.
old now, formed in 1838. And we were actually one of the charter members that formed the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. So a lot of people don't realize how old our organization is, and a constant that it has been in driving the business agenda forward for Memphis, and now the region. We have a team of 55 professional chamber members who are dedicated and spirited in driving our economy and workforce and community development. It really spans the breadth of the chamber disciplines, both traditional and those that are innovative, from entrepreneurship and government advocacy. You name it, we do it. We focus on really supporting the businesses that are here and creating those conditions that are necessary for growth. But we don't lose sight on the fact that we serve the broader citizenry of this region. Yes, the businesses, but those businesses only exist when they employ the great people of our area. So we want to make sure that we have everyone equipped with the skills that are necessary to participate in a very growing and vibrant economy now. We have a budget of about $14.5 million per year. We are 100% privately funded from the business community. We have multiple levels of membership, and our highest level is what we call the Chairman Circle, which was formed about 12 years ago now, and that now encompasses 225 of the top businesses and business leaders in our community. So we're proud of the fact that we're 100% funded by the private sector, because that gives us freedom to operate and fidelity to make sure that we are ensuring that the business agenda is a priority. So we interface obviously at the local, state, federal levels with all of our partners, and we entrust the responsibility of being a go-to to this team, and they take that role very seriously. We have a lot of fun in the work that we do, but we also understand that the importance of this organization, given how long it's been around, is a driving force to really challenging any status quo and making sure that we are always oriented to a forward-leaning posture of progress and prosperity.
Yeah, that having that freedom, being funded by members and private capital is very freeing, like you said, especially
Yes,
when it comes to advocacy and to not have
absolutely.
to think too carefully about
That's right.
responses or approaches. So
That's right.
that's great. Well, that definitely helps to set the stage for our discussion today. And
Great.
on these Chamber of the Year finalist episodes, I like to spend the majority of our time really diving into the details of the two
Hmm.
programs that were submitted on your Chamber of the Year application. So as
Yeah.
soon as we get back from a quick break, we'll dive into those details and learn about those.
Hi, I'm Joe.
And I'm Rose.
And we're the founders of App My Community, a mobile app that can be customized to meet the unique needs of your Chamber of Commerce.
When we started App My Community, we envisioned a tool that would help communities thrive by simplifying communication and enhancing engagement. Chambers of Commerce face unique challenges, and we're here to help you tackle them.
App My Community helps the Evergreen Area Chamber of Commerce to create an app that keeps tourists informed even when their office is closed. They provide 24/7 access to local business information, which helps support the local economy and community engagement.
In Rocky Mountain House, we helped Rocky Chamber create an app with dynamic itineraries and digital resources for tourists, increasing local business engagement. The app has become an essential tool for the community, promoting events and boosting visibility for local merchants.
Today, we empower more than 200 chambers of commerce, campgrounds, and RV resorts to streamline communication, informing members about events, sharing business updates, and providing a digital hub for the community, all in one convenient app.
When you partner with App My Community, Our team works closely with you to create an app that meets your chamber's unique needs. As your community grows, our app evolves with you. We are here to ensure you engage effectively with your members and streamline your operations.
Schedule a demo today at appmycommunity.com.
We can't wait to meet you.
Are you ready to take your organization's funding to the next level? Hi, I'm Clint Neesmith, CEO of Resource Development Group. As a Chamber of Commerce or economic development organization leader, I know you understand the value of working with experts who understand your world. And that's exactly what RDG does best. For over 30 years, RDG has specialized in fundraising for EDOs and chambers. We bring cutting-edge strategies tailored to your organization, whether you're just starting out or gearing up for yet another new funding cycle. Importantly, our firm executives are hands-on from start to finish, from the feasibility study to the successful conclusion of your fundraising campaign, and our team brings deep industry roots and national expertise to every engagement. No matter the size of your community, RDG delivers data-driven, innovative revenue solutions, reinforcing ROI to investors and making sure your vision becomes reality. At RDG, we proudly build organizations that build communities. Visit us today at rdgfundraising.com and let us partner with you, building a stronger future for your organization and the community you are working to grow and develop.
All right, Ted, we're back. As I mentioned before the break, we'll dive into the two programs that were submitted on your application. I don't know if you have a preference on which program you want to address first, if it makes any difference on the order. But I'll let you choose which one you'd like to highlight first.
Yeah, so I think we'll go in order of what we put in the application, and it happens to also be alphabetic too. So it's kind of nice. But America's River Crossing was the first program that we submitted for consideration to earn Chamber of the Year. And why we focused on that, because it really did speak to several elements of Horizon 2035 and our strategic plan of Prosper Memphis 2030. It represented the Chamber's efforts really over the last 2 decades to focus on Memphis as America's distribution center. Obviously, we are seen as a global logistics leader, home to FedEx Corporation headquarters and the largest hub in their network globally. But we also have a high concentration of all of the modalities of transportation. We call them the 4 R's. With our Mississippi River, of course, our rail, we have the 3rd highest concentration of rail in the country. And with all 5 Class 1 railroads with major operations here. The 3rd R is the roadways. We have the 3rd busiest trucking corridor in the United States of America, with interstates 55, 40, 69, and the future 22. Really connecting coast to coast and north to south, with Memphis pretty much in the epicenter of that. And then the last R is our runway. Obviously, I mentioned FedEx and the global hub that they have there, but the connectivity of that really brings in proximity the global market to Memphis within either 72 hours or 96% of the world's market can get into Memphis in just a few days' time. So we're really proud of that legacy. And our infrastructure is a critical component of that. A few years ago, when the Interstate 40 bridge had a crack in it, it really shut down all commerce, both along the roadway itself, but also river barge traffic had to cease for a while, and it was down about 6 weeks. So the redundancy of our river crossings became of paramount priority. However, the Chamber has a transportation committee, and we have for 20 years been advocating for additional crossings of the Mississippi River and the replacement of bridges. So we supported the state of Tennessee's effort to pass legislation called the Transportation Modernization Act, which then yielded an allocation of state funds, $3 billion. And out of all of the needs of infrastructure across the state of Tennessee, and we've got 95 counties that all have amazing infrastructure needs, but the state prioritized the America's River crossing, as we coined it, and we were honored to play that role as a chamber and helping the state pass this legislation and the enabling funding that would go into major projects. Along those same lines, the federal government had a bridge replacement program as part of the infrastructure package of legislation that was passed, which was bipartisan. And with that program, we applied in partnership with the state of Tennessee and the state of Arkansas for the replacement of our Interstate 55 bridge. So we did national advocacy in Washington, D.C. in partnership with the state. They requested us to do that. The first application, we did not play a role in writing any of the narrative, and it did not score very well. So the state turned back to us and our long history of advocating for this and asked us to help bolster the application. So we built narrative. We had our Greater Memphis Economic Research Group that's embedded inside the Greater Memphis Chamber, provide some additional data and analysis. And we resubmitted that application, and we were thrilled to be awarded the largest infrastructure grant in the state of Tennessee's history, $400 million from the Department of Transportation via the Federal Highway Administration. And that is matched with $250 million from the state of Tennessee and $250 million from the state of Arkansas. So it's a nearly $1 billion bridge replacement, which will really be a signature bridge across the Mississippi River and redefine our skyline downtown in Memphis. So it represents every element of public policy and convening and driving and prioritizing, and yet also providing the data and the support and really humanizing the narrative of why this is important and why Memphis should be granted this major award. And for it to be the largest in the state's history is not lost on us. This is a 70-year-old bridge, not seismically retrofitted. It is a challenge to get across that thing now, given the fact that we are the third busiest trucking corridor. So this allows for greater safety, it allows for greater capacity, and it solidifies our position as America's distribution center moving forward into the decades ahead of us.
I can see the huge need for it with you guys being central hub and all the incomings and outgoings. It makes total sense. So you said this is part of the stretch of I-55. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Interstate 55, which connects Chicago with New Orleans, pretty much Memphis being equidistant to each.
Yeah. So as I'm thinking about the bridge, do you know when the original bridge was built? And I guess I'm asking the question because I'm sure there's technology advancements. You mentioned the seismic retrofitting and stuff like that, but what other technology advances are there?
Yeah, well, it was over 70 years ago, so the lanes are much more narrow than what we typically would see in a new interstate or bridge build present day. So this new bridge will have added capacity, added lanes, and present a much safer environment for motorists and trucks that are crossing. But also, it adds to that volume and capacity as well. The state just completed an interchange on the Tennessee side of the bridge. So coupled with that, it's going to allow for much more traffic and logistics to flow through here.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. I know, Dunkin' Donuts has their saying of, America runs on Dunkin', but you guys could probably say America runs through Memphis, right?
we actually can say that.
Yeah.
We have the highest concentration of logistics companies in the country here in Memphis because of those modalities of transportation. And yes, it doesn't hurt that FedEx, who employs 500,000 people around the globe, is headquartered here. They have over 30,000 employees here in Memphis, and they've been operating for the last 5 decades here as their base of operations and their headquarters. So we feel that is true, and that really became very evident during the pandemic when we saw the global supply chain challenges that were well documented. Memphis was actually a solution point for the movement and the continuance of movement of goods around the country. And FedEx certainly played a pivotal role in the distribution of the vaccines.
Yeah.
So we like to imagine, Memphis's placing and being responsible for the world's recovery from, an unprecedented global pandemic.
Yeah. Well, as far as it comes to chambers making a big impact in their communities and their region, this is, one obviously putting you on the national stage. So
Yes.
great work with that one and great
Thank
job.
you.
What's the timeline for when they start working on it or completion for it?
We anticipate the beginning of construction in 2026 and the completion of the bridge in 2030. Again, that's a fluid timeline, given materials and construction.
Yeah.
But they're going to be building it right beside the current bridge. And when that is completely finished, they will bring down the original, and we're off and running. But it's a cable suspension bridge. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. There are renderings that I've seen, and assuming there are no changes in that, it's going to be a stunning piece to our skyline. So we're excited for that. And the fact that we get to see it in our lifetime,
Yeah.
4 years from now is really not that far for a major $1 billion bridge to be built across a mighty Mississippi River.
Yeah. Well, it's great to get the background story too. So as any of us listening, drive across the bridge, in 2030 onward, we'll know the story of how that bridge came to be. So and the role your chamber had in that.
Yeah.
Well, let's shift gears to this second program that was submitted on your application. If you'd like to introduce that one to us.
Yeah, happy to do so. The Digital Delta. And, I love to talk about this program because it is one of those things where a chamber can put together all of those strategic plans and hope for the outcomes. And you hope that you're around to see those outcomes. But in our case, the Digital Delta is a component of Prosper Memphis 2030, and we're already seeing the manifest yield of these strategies that we've been working on for the last 5 years. So the Digital Delta, I will say this much. If I were to say Silicon Valley, pretty much in any audience, geographically where I'm talking about and what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And so coming out of the 2008 recession, going into even 2018, 2019, Memphis really took 10 years to recover from that. And we were looking at ways to catalyze exponential economic growth. So we were actually one of 3 cities selected by the Brookings Institution to go through their inclusive economic indicators lab. Along with Indianapolis and Orlando. That took about 18 months, but what we came out of that was with basically a database and dashboard of economic indicators that measure the strength or the lack thereof of the Memphis economy. We took that and we compared ourselves with 9 other peer cities that were similar in population and business diversity, so you have a cohort of 10. And as you can imagine, Memphis didn't fare very well. We were pretty much in the bottom quartile of those cities that we were measuring ourselves against. And there was one economic indicator where we were actually number 1. And that was the percentage of information technology positions held by African Americans. Now, mind you, Memphis has the largest African American population in the United States of America. That had been Detroit. We have overtaken Detroit and remain with the highest population. And that is a source of pride. We see diversity as our superpower. And seeing that indicator was not necessarily a surprise to us as measured against our peer cities, but at the same time that we were coming into this analysis and measurement, the McKinsey report came out along with a Wall Street Journal article that told basically tech companies that if you want to diversify your workforces, you need to move to where that talent is. And predominantly that talent is located in the Southeast section of the United States. But the job growth was really coastal. So we took that methodology, if you will, or that clarion call of action, and started marketing the fact that we have this high concentration of Black tech talent to tech companies. I went to Microsoft and toured their headquarters, and they said, Ted, this is amazing. We wish we had known this 2 years ago before we committed to building in Atlanta. And I was able to show them that actually, Atlanta's number 2 to Memphis. So that was a false victory, but nonetheless, we realized we had a lot of great momentum and justification for major tech corporations to invest in our region. I met with Mr. Fred Smith, founder of FedEx, who just sadly recently passed away. And I showed him these data, and he held up the page that showed the chart with Memphis leading in Black tech talent over 53 other major markets in the US. I mean, every big city. And he said, there's not much that surprises me at this point in my career. He said, but this is shocking. And I know that FedEx has played a role in this because the world is still catching up to the fact that FedEx is a technology company that happens to move packages around the planet. Yeah. And that was a moment that galvanized our approach. And in fact, he and his son, Richard Smith, who is an executive with FedEx, coined the phrase digital delta. So we trademarked it, and we began using that as a marketing platform with the basis of data to say, you could move a location here, Google, Microsoft, you name it. Fast forward to last year, and we had the opportunity of marketing Memphis to XAI, the startup AI company of Elon Musk. And we were able to win that project and beat out 50 other markets that they had been considering because of the fact that we could move at the speed they wanted. We had the power that they needed, and we had the people. And so that now represents the largest investment in the state of Tennessee's history. So you can see we love to live in the superlatives. Right. Largest infrastructure grant, largest private sector investment in the state's history. And now Memphis suddenly is thrust into the lexicon of great global tech hubs because we are home to the world's largest and most powerful supercomputer, which is XAI, that powers Grok, their interface. So now we have shifted our focus to the supply chain of AI, artificial intelligence, both upstream and downstream. What does it take to create AI? It creates tangible things. I mean, you have to have servers, you have to have graphics processing units or chips. You have to have cooling systems and all of these energy, things that energy that go into the creation of artificial intelligence. So, and given the fact that Memphis is such a great logistics hub, it makes sense to now have Memphis focus on becoming a high-tech manufacturing hub where you have proximity of these AI products that go into the end users. So we not only announced XAI last year, they've doubled down. They invested $12 billion in their first phase. They have committed to expanding their footprint from 200,000 GPUs or NVIDIA chips to now 1 million NVIDIA chips.
Wow.
So the supercomputer is just getting more powerful right here in Memphis. So when you think about the computational power that it will take to put humans on the surface of Mars, that will be originated from Memphis, Tennessee. And it still gives me goosebumps. And it's that validation of what is the digital delta. When you launch something like that, you obviously get a lot of questions, and it's new. And it's a moniker that many people weren't familiar with. They would ask questions, well, does that mean electric vehicles or robotics or AI? And the answer is yes.
All of it.
Tech is ubiquitous now with business. And yes, we're home to Ford Motor Company's largest electric vehicle assembly plant. And so, yes, we have FedEx's largest hub, which has a tremendous amount of automation and robotics. And yes, we're home to the world's largest supercomputer. So now you have this concentration of investment that reflects what the digital delta is. And we've even got the governor of the state of Mississippi using digital delta in a Politico interview that he just had, and they've had major announcements that reflect how they are growing in the AI space. And in Arkansas, right across the river, and I point this way because I'm looking literally out my window at Arkansas across the river. They announced Google is coming into West Memphis, Arkansas, and that's a $10 billion investment in a large data center campus. So suddenly there's validation of the Prosper Memphis 2030 vision that was embodied in the Digital Delta marketing effort. And we're going to continue to add to the constellation of these great tech companies like NVIDIA and Dell and Supermicro, who have all committed to coming to Memphis and having significant operations. And that XAI investment garnered us Deal of the Year last year from Business Facilities Magazine. And we were the only chamber to be recognized. Mostly it was state-led organizations and the great projects that they were able to announce in the platinum, gold, silver level. We won the bronze, but it was the Greater Memphis Chamber that was recognized. And coming from my background at the state, when we won the State of the Year in Economic Development, a lot of the deals of the year that culminated with that, I wanted to bring that to my hometown. And I'm incredibly proud of this team and the effort that they put forward to not only get America's River Crossing funded and soon to be built, but then the Digital Delta really taking hold and becoming our identity. It's a transformational moment, and it's not something that we hope will take hold decades from now. It's already been realized, and that's incredibly rewarding, Brandon.
Yeah, that is great. What a great accomplishment with the win of XAI, but also the continued inflows.
That's right.
The thought hit me that there's enough people out there that think AI is going to take all of our jobs. But I'm curious with XAI about how many jobs are being created in the Memphis area with this new facility.
That's a great question, because that was what we got as well. Well, this is just another data center. No, actually, it's not. Data centers store data, but this is a computational learning cluster. So they have about 300 full-time employees right now. 82% of those are Memphians, and they pay at Palo Alto rates. So everyone in that facility is making six figures now, and they don't require four-year degrees necessarily. So we have seen that as a tremendous opportunity where we can specialize accelerated skills training, provide people with certifications and credentials that can go to work in the world's largest supercomputer and earn these incredible wages that are family sustaining. And that's what chambers do. That's just right. The essence of why we were created and the work that we do. And it's so incredibly rewarding to be able to see that Memphians are feeling the impact of this. And yes, this is an attractor for in-migration of talent here. And given the fact that they're going to be exponentially growing the supercomputer, we anticipate even more jobs. I mean, this is, they've suddenly become our second largest taxpayer in Memphis, only behind FedEx, who has been operating again for 5 decades.
Right.
So that is really what is driving our economy. And just last year, our GDP eclipsed 100 billion for the first time in our history. And that does not even include XAI's investment.
Wow.
So when we have done the projections, we've done the projections, what we see is that we're going to have one of the highest growing economies in the nation's history in a 2-year period, really placing us only second behind Austin, Texas. And we know what a juggernaut Austin, Texas is for economic growth. So we're so excited about what the future represents. And the Digital Delta now becomes one of those calling cards for our region. And it's justified, and we have proven the efficacy of what Mr. Smith envisioned for the Memphis region, and it's bittersweet, but it's a tremendous legacy, and he has so many legacies. But knowing that the chamber got to partner with him on the rollout of Digital Delta is an incredible honor, and one that we're going to continue to honor him and his contributions to our economy.
Yeah, I love that tie-in with the Smiths and
Isn't it
just
amazing?
yeah, it
Yeah,
is. It's
it's Providence,
fantastic.
I think.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
love to think of it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Mhm.
Well, obviously, two huge, impactful programs that you guys are driving
Yes.
there at the Greater Memphis Chamber. As we begin to wrap up, I wanted to
Mhm.
ask for those listening who want to take their chamber up to the next level, what kind of tip or action item would you suggest in their efforts to do that?
Yeah, for me, I don't want to oversimplify this because the work that we do is highly complex,
Right.
and it's multifaceted. But I think the underlying current is you have to listen to the business community. You have to understand with multiple touch points and an intentional engagement what is paramount to them. What does the business community expect and need in times of both distress and in times of major accomplishments, because each represent new challenges and
Yeah.
opportunities for growth. And so I take pride in the fact that we are open and we are asking for engagement and opportunities to learn what the business community needs. I would say get out there, get active and be present and be an active listener. And most importantly, you have to act on it. And you have to show that the feedback that they are giving you is not ending up in a loop
Yeah.
of noise, but is being thoughtfully and appropriately enacted. And that's what has really spelled success for us. When you think about just America's River Crossing, we would not have been in a position to help win that if we had not been listening and advocating for 20 years.
Yeah.
And you have all of this variability in political cycles and administrations change, and that's at every level: local, state, federal. But the one constant is always a chamber, because they're the go-to. And in our case, we've been around for a long time. But I think that's true for every chamber and the community that they represent. It is, you are equipped to act because you've been listening to what they need.
Yeah.
And that's a special thing that it sounds very simple, but I engage with as many of our members as I can in an annual basis. I want to sit with them. I want to hear. We have mid mornings with Ted, and we have breakfasts with Ted. A lot of TED Talks.
TED
Ted
Talks.
does talk.
Yeah.
TED Talks.
I thought of
But
playing on that with this episode, in fact.
I
Yeah,
had
TED
to do
Talks.
it. I had to put it in there. I hope that doesn't hurt our scoring. Um, but Ted also listens, and we have a team that listens, and so I would just recommend that have as many interfaces as you possibly can schedule, and don't get caught up in the pageantry of events, because those are wonderful, and we celebrate every ribbon cutting because it represents a business dream realized here in our community. But we have to do even more, and we
Yeah.
have to show up and continually offer that support.
Yeah. I love that response. And in fact, it kind of leads into the next question I was going to ask
Yeah.
about. And you guys are very future looking, future leaning, I
Yes.
would say. So
Yes.
as you look to the future, how do you see chambers of commerce and their purpose going forward?
Yeah. Well, again, I go back to challenging that status quo. When I came in as Chief Economic Development Officer, having the success at the state level, I wanted that here. So we wanted to implement similar structures and strategies to garner that kind of success. And it's creating that culture of winning, and creating that culture. You wake up every day expecting to win. And that is not in a boastful way. That is just an orientation that I expect of myself, and that has, it's really, I think, inspired the team here to understand that we can dream as big as we dare, and if we don't, who will for Memphis? So we want to always apply innovative approaches. We love to be first in space. We love to live in the superlatives, being the best, the most, the first. And it's not for our recognition. It is not necessarily to win, the trophies or in this case, Chamber of the Year. We want that badly, but it's because it's the work, it's the body of work, and it's the impact on our community that ultimately provides that outcome and result that we expect. We expect Prosper Memphis 2030 to see the goals hit, where we will be, because of Brookings research, we will be in the top quartile of those cities that we measure ourselves against. And when that happens, prosperity is shared. And if we leave anyone behind in this moment, we have failed. We hate poverty. And Memphis has long suffered from having pockets of just devastating poverty in our communities. And I will not rest, and this team at the Greater Memphis Chamber won't rest until we normalize and equalize economic prosperity for our citizenry, so that we don't have census tracts that have suffered generationally. But now, South Memphis is home to XAI, and those neighborhoods are getting investment, direct investment from the tax revenues that are coming in. The mayor is passing an ordinance to directionally put 25% of the net new revenues into the 38109 zip code, which has been a zip code that has seen disinvestment and so many barriers for so many generations. That, to me, Brandon, is That's what awesome. A chamber is to do and to be about. And we're gonna find new goals, and we're going to crush those as well, because we don't rest in complacency, because our community deserves so much more.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Ted, I wanted to give you an opportunity to share any contact information for listeners who may want to reach out and learn more about how you guys are doing things there in Memphis and do their own R&D. Where would you turn them?
Absolutely.
What would be the best way for them to reach out?
Well, first, I will say this, because I have been the beneficiary of many of my colleagues in the chamber work who have offered their best practices freely. And we're an open book. This is not a time nor place to be proprietary. So we want to share everything that we have been through to help others. So the best way, my email is Townsend@memphischamber.com. I always invite, my mobile numbers on my business card. So that's how open I want to be with our peers and partners and community. Our website is memphischamber.com, and we have a marketing website called memphismoves.com. Of course, we're on all of the platforms with social media, but memphischamber.com, memphismoves.com, and then certainly my email are the best ways for us to get connected. And if there's any research or examples of the industry reports that we put out there, or the economic impact studies that our economic research group has done, most of those are on our website. And if anyone needs any assistance in that, we're more than happy to partner with them.
Yeah, that's fantastic. We will get your contact information, the websites, and our show notes to make it easy for people to find you and reach out and connect. But Ted, this has been great having you on the show.
Thank you.
You guys are making huge impact. It's been fun to learn about these programs and to put a bigger spotlight on Memphis.
Sure.
So I wish you and your team best of luck as Chamber of the Year.
We're crossing everything that we've got. Can't wait for a few weeks from now when it's all announced.
If you are a chamber professional, please subscribe to Chamber Chat Podcast in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. When you subscribe to Chamber Chat Podcast, new episodes will show up in your podcast app each week as they are released. If you're finding value in this podcast, please leave us a rating and a review in iTunes. But most importantly, please share Chamber Chat Podcast with your colleagues that are in the industry.